of your book. Feel free to chant along or just follow along. Reverence for life, aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I am committed to cultivating the insight of into being and compassion and learning ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to support any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. Seeing that harmful actions arise from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance, which in turn come from dualistic and discriminative thinking, I will cultivate openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment to views in order to transform violence, fanaticism, and dogmatism in myself and in the world. True happiness, aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I am committed to practicing generosity in my thinking, speaking, and acting. I am determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others, and I will share my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in need. I will practice looking deeply into the happiness and suffering of others are not separate from my own happiness and suffering, that true happiness is not possible without understanding and compassion, and that running after wealth, fame, power, and sensual pleasures can bring much suffering and despair. I am aware that the happiness depends on my mental attitude and not on external conditions, and that I can live happily in the present moment simply by remembering that I already have more than enough conditions to be happy. I am committed to practicing right livelihood so that I can help to reduce the suffering of living beings on earth and stop contributing to climate change. True love, aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I am committed to cultivating responsibility and learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society, knowing that sexual desire is not love and that sexual activity motivated by craving always harms myself as well as others. I am determined not to engage in sexual relations without true love and a deep long term commitment made known to my family and friends. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. Seeing that body and mind are one, I am committed to learning appropriate ways to take care of my sexual energy and cultivating loving kindness, compassion, joy, and inclusiveness, which are the four basic elements of true love, for my greater happiness and the greater happiness of others. Practicing true love, we know will continue beautifully into the future. Loving speech and deep listening, aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I am committed to cultivating loving speech and compassionate listening in order to relieve suffering and to promote reconciliation and peace in myself and among other people, ethnic and religious groups, and nations. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I am committed to speaking truthfully using words that inspire confidence, joy, and hope. When anger is manifesting in me, I am determined not to speak, I will practice mindful breathing and walking in order to recognize and look deeply into my anger. I know that the roots of anger can be found in my wrong perceptions and lack of understanding of the suffering in myself and any other person. I will speak and listen in a way that can help me and the other person transform suffering and see the way out of difficult situations. I am determined not to spread news that I do not know to be certain, and not to utter words that can cause division or discord. I will practice right diligence to nourish my capacity for understanding, love, joy, and inclusiveness, and gradually transform the anger, violence, and fear that lie deep in my consciousness. Nourishment and healing. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I am committed to cultivating good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will practice looking deeply into how I consume the four kinds of nutriments, namely edible foods, sense impression, volition, and consciousness. I am determined not to gamble or to use alcohol, drugs, or any other products which contain toxins, such as certain websites, electronic games, TV programs, films, magazines, books, and conversations. I will practice coming back to the present moment to be in touch with the refreshing, healing, and nourishing elements in me and around me, not letting regrets and sorrow drag me back into the past, or letting anxieties, fear, or craving pull me out of the present moment. I am determined not to try to cover up loneliness, anxiety, or other suffering by losing myself in consumption. I will contemplate interbeing and consume in a way that preserves peace, joy, and well being in my body and consciousness, and the collective body and consciousness of my family, my society, and the earth.
I'd like to invite the preceptor, the incense lighters up, please, to light the incense. The incense gatha is on page 2 of your chant books. And please join me in chanting the incense gatha together. In gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts wholehearted awareness, and the truth of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. Good morning. Welcome to our ceremony today, our Preceptor's Ordination ceremony. I wanted to provide a few courtesy announcements to start with. If you have small children or you yourself need a break during the service, the bathrooms are through the curtains on the left and also downstairs. If you have a child that needs some time to express themselves, we do have toys and things downstairs as well. If you do have a child who uses the downstairs toys and things, please at the end of service, make sure that your child has cleaned up everything that they played with. If you need to get up during the service to stretch, we do have some chairs available in the back, so if you're on a cushion, you get uncomfortable, please feel free to move to a chair. And if you're going to get up and walk, please don't walk right in the front here, but walk around the back just for courtesy. You may have noticed when you came in that the cushions were very orderly and arranged, so when we leave at the end of the day, we'll try and leave our cushions all lined up with each other, looking nice and straight. The small cushion in the center of the larger one. We invite you to join in with our chants today. We'll endeavor to tell you what page they're on. And when you're chanting, we just encourage you to chant loud enough so that you can express yourself, but not so loud that you can't hear your neighbors, because we're all trying to chant in unison, practice some mindfulness together. Okay? I do have another more serious announcement as well. So this is related to the Dharma talk from last Sunday. I'm just going to read this. The Dharma Council is deeply concerned that words spoken in last Sunday's Dharma talk may have caused suffering for members of our community. Our temple strives to be an inclusive, safe space for all beings, regardless of their race, gender orientation, sexual orientation, or political perspectives. When we practice viewing all people as one body and vow to liberate all beings from suffering of this world, we see that our own suffering is not apart from the suffering of others, and other sufferings likewise is not apart from our own. Unattached from our own ideas of right and wrong, good and bad, we practice together as one to spread the Dharma for the benefit of all sentient beings, and to heal the world around us through deep listening, insight, loving kindness, and compassion. So at that, I'd like to invite everyone to stand up and greet each other silently. And I'd like to invite our preceptors to go downstairs. And the rest of you, we will now begin with our Three Refuges chant. So this is inside of your chant book. On page 3.
I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the three jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to practice mindful breathing and smiling, looking deeply into things. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion and practice joy and equanimity. I vow to offer joy to one person in the morning and to help relieve the grief of one person in the afternoon. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts.
We will now chant the Heart Sutra together, which is on the next page, page 4.
Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra Bodhisattva of great compassion from the deep practice of Prajna Paramita, perceive the emptiness of all 5 skandhas and deliver all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind. No realm of sight, no realm of consciousness. No ignorance, no extinction of ignorance. No age and death, no extinction of them. No suffering, no cause of suffering. No cease from suffering, no path to be out of suffering. No knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but Prajna Paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any elusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all elusive views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in Prajna Paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the Prajna Paramita is the great Dharani, the radiant fearless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the Prajna Paramita. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisattva. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate. gate bodhisattva. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisattva. Lama, prajna, paramita, hridaya, sutra.
Please be seated. Good morning again. My name is Kunga Nyima. I am the senior teaching monk here at the temple. And I'm so nice to have you all here, a full house for our Preceptor Ordination ceremony. Just want to say a few words about the Preceptor program, and then we'll have each of the teachers here talk a little bit about one of the precepts which the preceptors are taking. So this program started in September. It entails the preceptors coming to temple every Sunday, coming early to help set up the temple, learning how to be incense lighters and greeters here with the temple, participating in group discussions before service and after service. They have assigned text they're reading, the Dhammapada, and also the Heart of the Buddha's teachings, so they can delve deeper into the meaning of the Dharma. They're also keeping daily journals on their spiritual activities and endeavoring to have a daily meditation practice and to bring the Dharma into their everyday life on a regular basis. So it's a pretty intensive commitment, and they really did a wonderful job, and we're so glad that they were all able to complete it from start to finish and to participate so openly in our services. So with that, I would like to go ahead and turn it over to San Shen, another of our Dharma teachers.
Thank you so much. I believe the heart of Buddhism is rooted in interdependence. All phenomena, all beings are so intimately connected, there is no separation. I think it's through that interconnected nature that one realizes all of the 5 of the precepts, including the first one, which I get the pleasure to yap about for a second, which is the sanctity of life. When you see that all beings one body, it's naturally, the natural action is to see the sanctity of life, how connected that we all are, how, one harm against another is against all of us. And not only the sanctity of those around us that we love, but the hard part too of being able to fight for the lives of those who have harmed us. And for some, the hardest of all is being able to bow down to the sanctity of our own lives, to do the things for ourselves. But it's also not just a now thing too. It's a then and until then thing. I sit here because of 10,000 generations of people that all led up to me. And to be able to pull from that strength is also, I believe, following this first precept. And so I hope you can all remember that whenever you're going through something hard, that you're not just sitting there with yourself, but you're pulling from the entire universe and from all of your ancestors that led up to you. I'm very happy to have gotten to know all 5 of you just a little bit. And I will say that the people that introduced themselves to me on day 1 are very different than the people sitting here today. And you've all grown in lots of different ways. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'm honored to have been there for glimpses throughout. Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful, Sunshin. My name is Igesu, and you might have seen me much the past couple of months, but it's good to be back and celebrating these 5 individuals who are taking the gifts of the moral precepts. And I'm going to talk a little bit on the second precept, which is to abstain from taking what is not given, or to abstain from stealing. And when we think about the 5 moral precepts as gifts, they're not necessarily gifts for us. They're gifts for everybody else. So when we are training ourselves in these various moral practices, we are working on bringing all beings to enlightenment. It's not about bringing ourselves to enlightenment. It's about bringing everybody there all together. And so when we think about stealing, it's not just about taking material items. It's also about thinking about the internal. Where am I stealing from myself as well? When am I not honoring this mind of mine that has the ability to transform the way that it sees reality, from the way that it sees stealing in the world, the way it sees killing in the world, the way it sees distractions, cravings, delusions? What is it about this mind that can transform to make this world the Buddha paradise that it has the capacity to be? And so as we think about what can we do, I think the best thing that you can do is remember in your heart that you are enough. On to you, Kunga.
Thank you. So I'm going to talk about the third precept, to abstain from sexual misconduct. So if you look on, I think it's page 12 in the chant book is where we list the 5 mindfulness trainings. And you can see that even though I'm calling the third precept to abstain from sexual misconduct, the Thich Nhat Hanh, under his heading for true love, gives you a much more inclusive, broad understanding of the third precept. And what I wanted to talk a little bit about today was this idea of, in the end of that part, he alludes to the idea that the third precept has to do with the 4 immeasurables: loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. I think specifically he talks about loving kindness, compassion, and equanimity. And that when we're generating love, so we're talking about what we should be doing rather than what we should be abstaining from doing. So that's, there's a practice in Tibetan Lojong where you fill your life up with what you should be doing, and then you don't have to worry about what you shouldn't be doing. I mentioned that in my last talk. So if we're talking about presenting true love, and we're talking about how do we represent love in our life in the way that's going to be most beneficial to ourselves and others, it brought to my mind this another Tibetan practice, which talks about cultivating bodhicitta by thinking about the kind of loving kindness that a mother shows to her child. Okay, so there's 4 different ways that are specified in the teaching. The first kindness is that our mother gave birth to us. Remembering that our mother endured physical and mental discomfort and pain so that we may be born into this world, we feel that love that our mother showed for us at that time, and we share this love with all beings who are also our mothers. So if we think about this idea of rebirth in the Tibetan perspective, since we've been reborn for millions of eons, everyone has had a chance to be our mother, and we've had a chance to be the mother of everyone else in previous lives. So when we end this speech, we say all our mothers, meaning everyone. So when we're thinking about how to show love to others, we think about it's worth it to go undergo physical and mental hardship so others may be happy. That's what our mothers did for us so that we could be born. The second kindness is that our mothers would sacrifice her life for us. Remembering that if our life was in jeopardy, that our mother would protect us from harm, we feel that love our mother showed us at that time, and we share this love with all beings who are also our mothers. So here the idea is that as a young infant, we're completely defenseless, but our mother wouldn't think twice about putting her life at risk to keep us safe. Can we have that same type of love for other beings? The third kindness of the mother, to show us what to take up and what to leave behind. Remembering that our mother taught us to know right from wrong and encouraged us in activities we enjoyed and helped us avoid what would cause us suffering. We feel that love of our mother showed us at that time, and we share this love with all beings who are also our mothers. So when we're a young child, we really don't know what to avoid that causes us suffering and what to do to bring us happiness. We kind of rely on our mothers to provide that to us. So our mother, through her loving kindness, educates us throughout our whole lives to avoid suffering and achieve happiness. And so this is like an ideal, right? And maybe some of us feel like that our mothers weren't able to fulfill those roles, because they were human beings. But this will be the ideal that we would sort of aspire to. The fourth kindness of the mother, to perform austerities for us. Remembering that our mother sacrificed her physical and psychological comfort for us at a time when we were completely dependent on her for care. We feel that love our mother showed us at that time, and we share this love with all beings who are also our mothers. So the idea is that when we were an infant, we were completely dependent on our mothers to care for us, change our diapers, to feed us, to make us comfortable, to reassure us. In order to do that, they had to give up their own time, maybe their own sleep at night, their energies for other activities, their other interests that they had, so they could be focused on our care when we needed that 24-hour care. So here in this ideal of love, can we sacrifice our own time, our own energy, our own comfort for those that we love so they might be happy? Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to the fourth precept, which is to refrain from false or harmful speech, or stop lying and telling people off. Okay, so this precept is derived from the Eightfold Path, right speech. The third step on the Eightfold Path. So there's some guidelines here that the Eightfold Path gives us, which are, is what I'm about to say timely? Is this the right time to say it? Is it true? Can it be said kindly or gently? And is it beneficial? Those are some guidelines we have when thinking about, what we're about to say. What is speech? It's more than just the things that, the words that we say. It can be our body language. It could be sarcasm or be rolling our eyes. It can be false or harmful speech can encompass laughter. That is, did someone tell a joke and we laughed and it maybe wasn't an appropriate joke? These are some of the things that, we
we learn to be mindful of when thinking about harmful speech. Some of the ways that we react in anger, we give people the silent treatment. Maybe we slam doors, maybe we stomp around. This can be harmful speech. So, the preceptors, you all have had a chance to study these precepts, and so you've heard these things a number of times, and you're probably well acquainted with them. Thich Nhat Hanh's translation that we chanted during the bell chant this morning of the fourth precept is loving speech and deep listening. Well, I love that he puts deep listening in here, because this is a really important part of harmful speech. Aware of the suffering caused by, 1, unmindful speech, and 2, the inability to listen to others. I'm committed to cultivating loving speech and compassionate listening. So how does listening play into harmful speech? If we cultivate deep listening, we can use this as a way to transform our reactionary mind. We can use it as a way to open our hearts to develop bodhicitta, as Kunga had said, loving kindness for everyone. So we've all been maybe in an instance where perhaps we smiled at someone. The refuge vow we just chanted said, I will practice mindful breathing and smiling, looking deeply into things. Well, what happens when we smile at someone and they don't smile back? They just kind of scowl at us, or they brush by us on the sidewalk. Our reactionary mind might say, yeah, thank you. Our reactionary mind might say, what a jerk, But if we use the skill of deep listening, we might see that maybe this person doesn't have the capacity to smile at us at that moment. And maybe it's not their fault. We think about the causes and conditions that this person has had in their life. Maybe smiling at people is a weakness where they come from, Some people come from different backgrounds than we do, and we have to think about that. So we can use deep listening as a way to look at a person's causes and conditions and transform our reactionary mind from, what a jerk, he didn't smile back at me, to have an understanding of where this person might have come from and what they might be dealing with. The same is true on the roadway in our car. Often, someone cuts us off, someone does these things, and our reactionary mind says, you a-hole, and I've taken a practice of asking myself when this happens, what does that person need? What is that person's needs that they're not getting filled? I don't know that they are not late for work for the third time because they have family members in the hospital and they're up all night and they have these things and they're about to get fired. And we just don't know. The story that we tell ourselves is not always the reality of the situation. So we can use deep listening to have an understanding of what's happening with other people and draw them nearer to ourselves. And lastly, I would just end by saying, one of the most important parts of this harmful speech is the speech that we have for ourselves, the self-talk that goes on. We hear our own voice more than anybody else's. And so be aware, please, of your self-talk. Be kind to yourself. Thich Nhat Hanh said, our capacity to love others is only as great as our capacity to love ourselves. So the more we broaden our capacity to love ourselves, the more we broaden our capacity to love others. So, thank you.
Preceptors, you've taken a significant first step. You've told the Sangha that you want to be Buddhist. And there's a wonderful next step. This is just your first one. And it can be a wonderful experience. So
Nelson Scarra talked about divisive speech, and it's particularly important for a person like me. I am dually diagnosed as an alcoholic and a bipolar. And bipolar in particular is truly a life and death situation for me. I tried suicide, and it just doesn't work for me. But sobriety is about, and that suicide was over 17 years ago. So, but enough about me. The equanimity is a central theme for me in dealing with my bipolar disorder. And when I get to one extreme or another, to emotional or depressed, things go wrong. And I particularly have to watch about the middle way. You know, that's what first attracted me, is Buddha's middle way. But equanimity, one of the four immeasurables, is defined as mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation. Okay. Equanimity defined mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation. Events of the last have been difficult, and I need to remember this. And from Lojong, in my every action, I will watch my mind, and the moment destructive emotions arise, I will confront them strongly and avert them, since they will hurt both me and others. In my every action, I will watch my mind, and the moment destructive emotions arise, I will confront them strongly and avert them, since they will hurt both me and others.
Okay, so for this next part of the service, I'm going to ask the preceptors to stand. Just wait 1 minute, though. They're going to do bows, deep bows to people who have supported them. So in Buddhism, we have this tradition of prostrations and bows. And the idea is to pay homage or give thanks to those who support you or provide a foundation for you to practice, you know. So we want to thank them or give gratitude through them. So that's what we're asking for the preceptors are doing this next part of the ceremony with these bows to these different groups. That is what we're thinking about. You know, these are the supports for us in our life, and we want to thank them for the support they provided us on our journey. So preceptors, please stand. Yeah. And the first bow will be to family and friends. So preceptors, please turn towards your family or friends and give them a deep bow. The second bow will be to the Sangha. So preceptors, please choose a section of the Sangha to bow to. Thank you. The third bow will be to each other because you support each other on the path. So please provide bows of gratitude to each other. The next bows will be to the preceptor masters. So if you could turn to face the dais and please provide a bow to the precept masters. All the precept masters participated in the preceptor training. So we're really happy to provide them with that experience. Thank you. Please remain standing. So for this next part, we are going to chant together the 5 mindfulness trainings, which are in the chant book on page 12. So preceptors, if you would like to pick up your chant books. And I invite everyone to chant with us. We'll do one mindfulness training at a time. And then after each mindfulness training, the preceptors will be asked to accept this vow. Anybody in the Sangha who would like to accept the vow at this time, you're welcome to do that as well. So, let's see here. Give me a second so we can get a chant book up here. Thank you. Reverence for life. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I am committed to cultivating the insight of inner being and compassion, and learning ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to support any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. Seeing that harmful actions arise from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance, which in turn come from dualistic and discriminative thinking, I will cultivate openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment to views in order to transform violence, fanaticism, and dogmatism in myself and in the world. Will you accept these gifts of the precepts? You can say it all together, loudly. Thank you. True happiness. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and compression, I am committed to practicing generosity by thinking, speaking, and acting. I am determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others. And I will share my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in need. I will practice looking deeply to see that the happiness and suffering of others are not separate from my own happiness and suffering, and that true happiness is not possible without understanding and compassion, and that running after wealth, fame, power, and sensual pleasures can bring much suffering and despair. I am aware that happiness depends on my mental attitude and not on external conditions, and I can live happily in the present moment simply by remembering that I already have more than enough conditions to be happy. I am committed to practicing to generate livelihood so that I can help reduce the suffering of living beings on Earth and stop contributing to climate change. Will you accept these gifts of the precepts? True love. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I am committed to cultivating responsibility, learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. Knowing that sexual desire is not love, and that sexual activity motivated by craving always harms myself as well as others, I am determined not to engage in sexual relations without true love and a deep long-term commitment made known to my family and friends. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. Seeing that body and mind are one, I am committed to learning appropriate ways to take care of my sexual energy and cultivating loving kindness, compassion, joy, and inclusiveness, which are the four basic elements of true love, for my greater happiness and the happiness of others. Practicing true love, we know that we will continue beautifully into the future. Will you accept this gift of the precepts?
I accept them.
Loving speech and deep listening. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I am committed to cultivating loving speech and compassionate listening in order to relieve suffering and to promote reconciliation and peace myself and among other people, ethnic and religious groups and nations. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I am committed to speaking truthfully, using words that inspire confidence, joy, and hope. When anger is manifesting in me, I am determined not to speak. I will practice mindful breathing and walking in order to recognize and look deeply into my anger. I know that the roots of suffering can be found in my wrong perceptions and lack of understanding of the suffering in myself and in the other person. I will speak and listen in a way that can help me and the other person to transform suffering and see the way out of difficult situations. I am determined not to spread news that I do not know to be certain, and not to utter words that can cause division or discord. I will practice right diligence to nourish my capacity to understanding, love, joy, and inclusiveness, and gradually transform the anger, violence, and fear that is deep in my consciousness. Will you accept the gifts of this precept? Nourishment and healing. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I am committed to cultivating good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society, by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will practice looking deeply into how I consume the 4 kinds of nutriments, namely edible foods, sense impressions, volitions, and consciousness. I am determined not to gamble or to use alcohol, drugs, or any other products which contain toxins, consistent websites, electronic games, TV programs, films, magazines, books, and conversations. I will practice coming back to the present moment to be in touch with the refreshing, healing, and nourishing elements in me and around me, not letting regret and sorrow drag me back into the past, nor letting anxiety and fear or craving pull me out of the present moment. I am determined not to try to cover up loneliness, anxiety, or other suffering by losing myself in consumption. I will contemplate inner being and consume in a way that preserves peace, joy, and well-being in my body and consciousness, and the collective body and consciousness of my family, my society, and the earth. Do you accept the gift of this precept? Okay. So, preceptors, please remain standing. So the next part of this ceremony, I want to give a little bit more explanation to. We're going to be giving the preceptors blessing stoles. We're going to be giving them mala beads, and we're also going to be giving them refuge bracelets. So I just wanted to tell a little bit about each of these things. So the blessing stoles are these white stoles that are on the Buddhas here behind us. This is a traditional practice from the teacher putting a blessing on the student. You know, it's an ancient practice. The idea is that the symbols, the auspicious symbols which are actually on the stole, the designs are on the stoles, are the same auspicious symbols that appeared at the Buddha's enlightenment. So I won't read them all. There's 8 of them, but I just wanted to touch on a few of them. So the white conch shell represents the fame of the Buddha's teaching that spreads in all direction with the sound of the conch shell. The 2 golden fish symbolize being saved from the ocean of earth life and suffering. The knot of eternity represents the intertwining of wisdom and compassion. And the victory banner signifies the victory of enlightenment teachings, knowledge over ignorance, overcoming all the hindrances and the attainment of happiness. So it's hard to see on these from this far away, but if you see the preceptors up close and you look closely on those white stoles, they'll have each of these auspicious symbols. And these are the same symbols that are painted on the stairwell when you're going downstairs. So every time you're going downstairs, you're kind of receiving a blessing from the temple. The mala beads are being held in the hands of the Buddhas there. And so there's 108 beads on the mala bead. If you're familiar with Christian tradition, there's the rosary. So it's a similar type idea. The mala beads are used to count recitations. So a recitation might be example when we read the Heart Sutra. At the very end, it says gate gate para gate parasam gate bodhiswaha. So you might say that in your meditation. Every time you say that out loud, you would count a bead. Then you do the whole mala round is equivalent to doing 100 recitations. There's like 108 beads in case you have 8 mistakes of lack of mindfulness. They're counted through on that. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the bracelet, the refuge bracelet. So the 3 refuges, we take those at the beginning of service. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So these are where we look for support for our practice. You know, we look for support from the teacher, the Buddha, the model that they presented, or anybody who's a teacher in our life. We look for support from the Dharma, the teachings themselves. When we come into obstacles in our life, you know, the Dharma can give us a guidance about what we should do, how we should act. And then the last one is the Sangha, you know, the community that we practice to. You know, how does that Sangha coming here to temple services is a support to our practice. You know, people we meet here become supports for our practice. The greater Sangha is the entire human population, is a support for their practice. Every person that you meet, regardless of whether they are a Buddha, is part of your human Sangha. So when they come up here, they will have that a thread, which is yellow, kind of symbolizing the golden enlightenment of the Buddha, wrapped around their wrist 3 times and tied and knotted. And they can wear that, you know, as a reminder of their refuge vows until it basically falls off, and then it's a reminder of impermanence. So thank you. So we're going to call each preceptor up here one at a time. Igesu will do that. She will give them their precept name. Let me see. We have a variety of things to do. Let me see how we're going to do this so we don't. So actually, the preceptor's name will be. We'll give them their secular name to come forward. We will present them with their stole, their blessing stole, and their beads, and then they will tie that. While they're tying the refuge thread around them, Igesu can present their Dharma name and what that means as well, and I'll give them their certificate. So the first person I have here is Nicole Behrens. Please come forward. Just come right here to the front. And then if I could have the Dharma teachers, please provide her with the stole, blessing stole, and her mala beads.
Come on down. Nikki, your name is Santa Dirti Bhava, which means calm determination becoming. The ability to stay calm, focused, and determined, even in difficult situations. Thank you, Nikki, for taking the 5 moral precepts.
You can please, well, you know what? Stand. I think you go ahead and have a seat. Our next preceptor to come forward is Sasha Lasova.
Sasha, Your name is Antar Joy T Bhava, inner light becoming, our inner spiritual light, inner wisdom that guides us through life. May you become that. Thank you for taking the 5 moral precepts, Sasha.
Christy Green.
Christy, your name is Prasanna Kush. I'm going to butcher this. Prasanna Kushma Bhava, and it means becoming blooming patience. The calm, clear, radiant state, or blooming from patience and forgiveness. Thank you for taking the 5 moral precepts, Christy.
Vanessa Vanderbilt.
Vanessa, your Dharma name is Shunya Swabhava Bhava, which is becoming emptiness itself. The reality that our fundamental nature is completely free, or is completely empty, free from distinction, that we are truly free, impermanent, and ever-changing. Thank you for taking the gift of the 5 moral precepts.
Craig Dickens.
Craig, your Dharma name is Ananda Pulabhava, which means becoming joyful result. Joy or bliss that is the result of spiritual practice. Thank you, Craig, for taking the gift of the 5 moral precepts.
Woo! We made it!
So I wanted to say a little bit about the preceptor names. Traditionally, we think about these names as having 3 meanings. So they're Sanskrit names. The Sanskrit were an ancient language that some of the Buddhist earliest teachings were recorded in. And the first meaning is the one that was read here. You know, the second meaning is that meaning that the preceptor takes into their life. You know, how this applies to their specific life. And then the third meaning is the secret meaning that is discovered over time as the preceptor practices. Thank you, preceptors. All right. So this is an opportunity. The preceptors, this is up to you if you want. I guess remain standing. Is an opportunity for each of you to share a little bit about your experience as a preceptor. Just say a few words about what the experience was like and to you, how it was meaningful to you, if you'd like. Thank you.
Hi, Sangha. My experience was really great. I feel like I had like a spiritual awakening through working the program. Everyone has been so supportive, and I'm really grateful this program, is here. I started coming to the temple, probably in like 2012, but I, for some reason, never came to service. And for some reason, now is like the right time. And I'm, upset that I didn't come earlier, and the books that we read, the studying, I mean, it was wonderful. So thank you all.
Hello, everyone. I think this is especially poetic. The last time that I took a new name, 2 days later, I was homeless. And I think it's very fitting that this time I am taking refuge. Did it? Okay, sorry. It's too far away from it. Where was I? This time I am taking refuge, and I am thankful and grateful towards each and every one of you. And family is where you find it. And that is, thank you for being my family.
Hi, everyone. This is the Sangha that I didn't know I needed, or that I didn't know I was looking for. I am an avid reader and I love learning, and that can only take you so far without the people around you. And so I think over this last year, when I started attending the Thursday book club and then decided to take the precepts this fall, I think everyone has just been a huge teacher to me, and I feel like I've learned so much, and I'm so grateful for everyone. So thank you.
Craig and Nicole, could you come toward the center here so that they'll be able to see you online as well? Thank you.
Good morning, Sangha. Good morning, magnificent human beings. My journey has been my heart smiles upon you all.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I first came to the temple pre-COVID and was very interested in taking the precepts then, and life happened, and here I am now. And I figured when this year first started, I thought, this will be the year that I get my life together spiritually and in a variety of other ways. And spoiler alert, I'm still getting my life together. But I'm so happy to be here. And this class was exactly what I needed at exactly the time that I needed it. And it's still very much a process. And I am somebody that is very stubborn, and I'm going to do it myself. I'll do it alone. I don't need anybody else. I've got this. And I've learned that doesn't have to be the case at all. That's not the case at all. There's community everywhere, and that community has my back, even at the times when I isolate myself from it. So I'm very grateful for this community, and I'm grateful for the wisdom of the people that I've been in class with. I'm grateful for the wisdom of the teachers and everybody here in the Sangha. One of the things that I didn't know I needed to do, but have really enjoyed doing, is even serving a lot of Sundays when I'm here, whether it's lighting incense, greeting, cleaning. It's something I look forward to continuing to do. So I guess I just kind of want to end with a couple of not direct quotes, but just ideas from the Dhammapada. One of them saying that when the world is on fire, basically, how can we experience joy? But then we have to experience joy in order to move forward. I'm paraphrasing, but as somebody who used to be an activist, this means a lot to me, because my activism a decade ago stemmed from anger and a lot of bad feelings. And now I realize that it's okay to feel joy. And the last quote that I wanted to paraphrase talks about, not asking what can the world do for me, but what can I do for the world? And I think that service is such an important part of what we do here. And just realizing that, we're a community and, we take care of each other. Thank you.
If I could have the preceptors just come all across the front of the dais, we're going to do it, and bring your certificates. And we're going to do a group picture. If there's some Dharma disciples who maybe have a camera who could take some pictures for us. And how about Dharma teachers, please stand. We'll have the preceptors in front of us. And y'all see right there. And never mind, if you got family and friends who want to take pictures, you're invited to please stand up and take pictures if you like. We'll take some pictures with us all smiling first, and then we'll take one with our certificates as well. So just tell us when you're ready, Jesse. I'm ready. All right, good smile, big smile. And then we could do one with the preceptor showing their certificates. Just be careful, though, with the white piece of paper and there, a couple pieces of paper that might fall out. Yeah, if you could just show the certificate. Thank you. Thank you. I invite everyone to take their seats. I want to do a couple announcements before we do our public chant. So we do have a potluck today after service. That's the most important announcement. So please gather downstairs. There's lots of food and treats down there. Everyone is invited to come and share the joy of the preceptor celebration. We do not have any Sunday service on the week before, Sunday before Christmas, and also the Sunday after Christmas. So, or maybe, I think, December, I'm sorry, that's wrong. We don't have Sunday service December 29th, and we don't have Sunday service January 5th, okay? We do have a twilight service on December 27th from 6 to 8 p.m., and Reverend Igesu will be presenting that. So did you want to say anything else about that?
Quick draw. Twilight service is something that we've held for the past 2 years, and it is a Sojong fire puja. The fire is the coolest part. So if you like lighting things on fire, come and hang out with us. But really, really what we're doing is we're purifying the mental habits that we know that are no longer serving us, and especially in light of the new year, trying to step into a more enlightened version of ourselves. It's about a hour and a half long, and we hang out, we talk, we meditate, and we eat some food. It is kind of a reception, so we invite people to bring items like a potluck, but maybe more on the holiday end of things, unless you're like trying to avoid sugar, then bring something healthy, I guess. But that's Friday, December 27th. Is it
Yep.
the 27th?
That's what you
Yeah.
said, December 27th. Yeah.
Friday, December 27th. And I hope to see you there. Oh, also, if you'd like to bring offerings of flowers or any other kind of offerings, what will happen is throughout the year when those offerings are brought that are not flowers, some people bring stones, feathers, things that might be of importance to them to put into the prayer circle or meditation circle, so to speak. I take those things home and put them on my altar for the whole year. And then before the next puja, I release the ashes of all of the things that we purified out into the world to let go of them permanently.
Thank you. We do have some regular things going on. Please consult the newsletter or the website for those meetings. There will be no online meditation on December 25th, which is Christmas Day. There's a board meeting on December 15th here at the temple after service. Anyone who would like to observe is welcome to do that. We have the Bodhisattva training program starting on the first Saturday in January. If you've taken the preceptor class, you are invited to participate in the Bodhisattva class. You don't necessarily have to have just taken it, and you don't necessarily have to have taken the precepts at the temple. If you've taken the precept any place, any Buddhist precepts, any place, you can just sign up, just provide us with your Dharma name and the name of the temple teacher that you took precepts with, and we would love to have you join us for that. The Bodhisattva class runs from January through August, meets once a month. The people participating in that class all participating in a regular rotation of greeters and incense lighters, and you'll get training if you haven't done that at the temple yet. But we're hopeful that we'll get a good group again this year. The Dharma teacher interns here, all graduates of the Bodhisattva class, so we couldn't do it without them. Thank you so much. I invite everyone to stand for our closing gathas. Yes. Oh, so there was a group signed up for at the service last Sunday. The Dharma Council needs to look at the group, and then we'll contact you after we've talked about how to move forward with that. Thank you.
Okay. Before we stand real quick, I have a brief announcement. I'm going to go downstairs and have some food. But the precept class has been, as Nikki has said, and some of the others, taking care of a lot of the temple duties for the last 3 months. Greeting, incense lighting, cleaning before service, taking the trash out, straightening the Dharma hall. That's correct. If you would like to, first off, so for the next 2 weekends, which are going to conclude the year, next Sunday and the following Sunday, we don't have anybody signed up. If you are part of the Dharma Disciple group or have been doing that before the precept class took those duties over, and you have access to the sign-up sheet, please go in, have a look at it, see what areas might need filled for areas of service that you can volunteer for. Then, coming into the new year, we've changed the Dharma Disciple program just slightly. We've sent out emails to everyone that we currently know might be interested in this or have been interested in this in the past. If you have been a part of the Dharma Disciple program in the past and haven't maybe checked your email, check it out. There's some instructions and a link to the new sign-up sheet where we've asked you to go in and maybe fill out some things on what areas you might be available for. If you have not been a part of some of the temple duties in the past, incense lighting, greeting, as we said, cleanup, a number of things, but you would Dana announcements, and there is a section on there for that. Thank you. And you would like to be a part of that or know what more you can do for the temple. There is a sign-up sheet now on the back table. There's a QR code you can scan for information. You can just read about it, or you can write your name, either one. If you scan the QR code, I believe it will give you my email, and you can send me an email, and you can always just holler at me in person, pull me aside downstairs. I'll have a mouthful of food, so it might take a second, but ask me what it is that you can do and how you become a part of that, helping out. Helping the temple in these ways, as Ellen just pointed out, is Dana in itself. Dana being, the practice of generosity, cultivating generosity. It's good for yourself as well as the temple to further your practice in those things. So please see me scan the QR code if you're interested in those things. Thank you.
Did we have a separate Donna announcement you wanted to do? Okay. So at this time, please open up your stand and open your chant book to page 6.
For all skillful actions ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddhist teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to enter. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain.
I invite the right side of the Kunga to take to the center, and left side to take to the center. We'll give each other bow. Please join us downstairs for the potluck. Please, a desperate Christian, when you're leaving, make sure the next nice and straight and tidy. Thank you so much. Good meeting.